Zelda 2 Max Rando Tournament. We've got our match tonight with MeleeWizard and raikourider. I'm DM Stewart on comms. I'm DM.
And assisting DM Stewart on comms is Q Lane tonight. Who do we have playing? We have MeleeWizard and raikourider going head to head. I believe, no, it's not an elimination match. They're both 1-1 tonight.
Well, that means there's plenty to play for.
Well, MeleeWizard is bracing for Dire Country in this randomizer, while Raikou is expecting to just kind of fall asleep here. We'll see whose choice is better.
I notice Raikou has the Samus sprite, and is that a brown link?
It looks like a lemony yellow on my screen. But let's look at what items our players are going to start when we get this race started. We have the race is actually just getting started.
We've got Shield, Reflect, and Life for spells. We've got the Hammer and the Flute. We've got 5 crystals, 5 life to start with.
Not too bad. Just like a better start at normal. Let's see here. Having the hammer is going to give them access to extra caves to start, just like that one cave Raikou's looking at right now with the boulder. We'll see what the first item for both of our players is going to be here.
Would that be Medicine Cave? It's a magic container.
You know, a magic container pretty early is a nice grab. It'll allow you to cast all those 80 MP spells or less, or just nice to have.
Well, so with Max Rando, what exactly is randomized?
Pretty much almost everything except for the enemy sprite palettes, because people didn't want them to be randomized. So it's almost Max Rando.
Okay, so
we've got another item cave coming.
And Melee Healer is a bit prophetic, as he is in Dire Country.
Oh man, you think he's gonna... Well, he makes it over the invisible Dire in the cave. There is a lot of Dires in this cave.
It's another magic container.
They're just stocking up now, huh?
And, note that,
you know, you might...
Melee Healer has not gotten a level yet.
I was going to suggest, on your way back, usually through that cave, that's usually the best time to fight the enemies. On your way back, you're right next to start. Those Dires tend to give a lot of experience. If you can get 1 or 2 of them, that's a few quick levels right there. Otherwise, MeleeWizard's going to fight the Horde on his Scream of Swamp right now.
Okay, I didn't notice what town that was that MeleeWizard just found.
Oh, that was the backside of Saria.
Okay, that explains why he noped right on out of there. And we've got a dungeon. That's, what is it, 3 or 6?
We'll find out later. Meanwhile, Raikou will show us Palace either 3 or 6.
And Raikou nopes right out. So we've got desert. So we've got desert encounters on the road. We've got road encounters in the graveyard.
I thought raikourider's stream froze for a second, or capture froze, but maybe he was just writing something.
And we found Grand Palace.
Getting a lot of Grand Palaces on the west lately, but maybe it's the seeds I'm watching here. So we've got Palace either 3 or 6, the Grand Palace, and 1 other dungeon which Melee chose not to show.
And we've got the seaside town of Meadow.
They don't have the jump or fairy spout to get the downstab technique, but they can find out where the medicine is by talking to the hint lady here, and maybe they'll get some clues on when to return.
Melee healer finding Palace 3. The medicine is somewhere in the West Continent. Melee Wizard finding his way into Death Mountain.
Well, if the medicine's on the west, there's a pretty good sign unless it's in Death Mountain, but I believe they say Death Mountain on the hints if it's in Death Mountain, right? So that means it's in one of the item caves. Or
and raikourider finds the other of 3 or 6.
Well, we know they're probably not going to be jumping into dungeons unless the raft decides to be in one either 3 or 6 before they find the glove. MeleeWizard diving into Death Mountain here, probably hoping to find that spectacle rock. They did start with the hammer, so finding a quick item, they can run into one.
And
so I just got a 500 hint from where was the hint?
A wild link appears, and the spell is fire. I wonder what's tied to fire. Okay, Rebo rides with the 500.
Which Rebo? The Rebo in Palace 6 or the Rebo in Palace 3? You gotta narrow it down. I think that clue actually means Palace 3, though, because they would say Barba for Palace 6 instead.
Okay, I did not see what went with the fire. If that's even been determined yet.
It might have been life, actually, I think. We'll find out. Okay, so MeleeWizard's got a pink tunic on right now. I don't... He might have casted both shield and fire, or he just casted fire. We're gonna find out. They've almost checked all the caves on this side of the continent where they're at right now. They may have to go across that bridge or take a pass-through cave to get access to the other side.
Was that a Parappa pass-through I saw?
Well, we have both racers peeking that cave right now. It could be the backside of the fairy cave. I'll look again when Raikou goes in.
He noped out, so I'm guessing it's backside ferry. And Melee Healer finds the other of 3 and 6. Or Melee Wizard, rather.
Raikou, I guess, would do the same thing with Death Mountain, looking for that boulder, but the rock is not going to be available for them at this entrance here. Excuse me.
Rebanak rides with the 500 bag.
I think Raikou's just going to keep jumping through Death Mountain until he finds the Spectacle Rock boulder. Could be a good idea. Well, as long as he didn't spend too much time in this cave here.
And Melee Wizard gonna head down and pick up the fire spell. That would make that Shield Town. Which I never remember if that's Ruto or Roru. I never remember if it's Ruto or Roru.
Ru.
If it's Ruto or...
Oh, did Buddy raikourider just find the Hammer Cave? Oh, he did. He's gonna go in. Maybe I would have peeked around Death Mountain a bit more before going in here. You might have still seen the boulder, because you don't always want to try and walk your way out of here. You could just report it back to start. But he is going to go through the Hammer Cave and find out what the item is. Hopefully it's something good for Raikou.
It's the any key.
Well, that kind of gets rid of his last 2 key drops he picked up. It's like, well, the first 2 key drops aren't going to be really useful to you, but at least the Master Key is pretty nice to have. It'll allow him to easily jump through dungeons for the rest of the game without having to worry about his MP and fairy and stuff.
You know, I think I would always take the, I think I'm always going to take the any key.
If Rose City Saint were here, he would say I would always take the fairy, because in any seed that he gets the magic or any key, he says it's always a very bad seed. But, there you go. Yeah, it gives access to the logic for them to go into 3 and 6 if they need to find like the raft in there. Not that they want to do that. There's still more caves for them to explore on the western side, Trail Z. They're just going to have to find out how to get to the other side here. So Raikou now choosing to look for the other boulder after he left the hammer.
Nope, it's out of Death Mountain.
Yeah, once you see there's no border there, it's either probably going to be on the lakeside somewhere or beyond like a single cave, which you're going to spend forever looking for. Smart decision is to move on from.
And MeleeWizard finding the finding a bunch of those forest tiles that you find when you're looking for.
Oh, you think as you're looking for Bagoose, we can get to the other side there. I'm not sure if they checked all the cemetery tiles. You know, Fairy Cave. Well, they got both of them now anyway, so that's Parappa. He's just gonna walk right through Parappa. So that will give Melee access to the other side of this continent here for the remaining item caves and the grass tile.
And Raikou with his any key is heading into dive. This is 3, I believe.
I think it's a bit too soon to jump in. Like, he knows he's got other caves to deck, but we'll see if he can get through this dungeon. 3 might block him with the glove. There's only like, what, 2 rooms that require the glove in? Yeah, as long as he doesn't see those rooms, he'll be fine.
Okay, so it looks like fire is reflect.
Well, that gives them access to Palace 4 to go through. It's a nice spell to have on, I guess, your Reflect there. So.
Well, they already did have Reflect.
Wait, he already. Oh, they already had Reflect?
They started with Reflect.
Oh. It's just, it's gonna be an over-expensive Reflect until level 5 magic.
And we have a raft.
Yeah, so raft in the, let's see, Medicine Cave here. You See, you didn't need to go into Palace 3 or 6. What was I just saying? Too hasty on the jump there.
Well, I have seen worse plays. I'm sure if I were playing, I would make worse plays. Zelda 2, not exactly my best game.
Yes.
I know the game decently, but I'm not great at it.
Well, if you were great at the game, you'd have to speedrun it and spend hours resetting on the first dungeon over and over and over again, so maybe it's a good thing that you're not an expert at this game, because it means you would have, like, permanently damaged your brain with Palace 1 or whatever.
First dungeon. First dungeon, nothing. First cave.
Yeah, the first cave.
The first cave trying to get that elusive 50 drop.
Yeah. So it separates a good Zelda 2 player from all the rest.
Knowing how to get that 50 drop?
Well, it's just more of running at that 50 drop, just constantly non-stop at it, more so than even knowing. But we've got a grass tile for raikourider. He's going to pick up. Maybe this is the child on this tile.
It's the glove. And speaking of that, of that cave with the 50 drop.
Yeah, you never want that drop to kind of fall in the hole there. Sad and unfortunate.
There is the medicine.
Big pickup there from Melee, so that'll allow him to get down stab and a spell when he gets over to. And with that, I think he's pretty much cleared. The only cave we haven't seen is Trophy Cave, I believe.
And he finds the other side of Saria. Guma sits on the cross. That sounds painful.
Oh. Melee finding the other side of Saria here. He's going to pick up another spell. raikourider catch it.
See, I wouldn't be able to do anything on this because, well, no
candle?
Yeah, no candle.
Doesn't matter.
And
you can just run through half the enemies and you'll probably make it through the cave before they kill you anyways. But yeah, not having the candle is a bit unsettling if you're not sure how many enemies spawn in each cave or where they spawn. Because enemies they'll be like a random enemy, but they'll always spawn at like the same kind of location, so you can typically, if you play these enough, you'll know where they kind of just are gonna be. But if you don't know the caves at all, don't know where the enemies spawn, then, well, that's a lot of fun.
Just a note here, the spell that you get in Watertown of Saria is Thunder.
All the more Thunder. Oh wait, he already had that to start with, so yeah, you can't let me use the thing. Wait, no, he didn't start with that.
Trails claiming the runners are in full dig shake.
Well, with that glove right now, go back, get your down stab, jump in Palace 3, maybe not jump in Palace 6, you might get fairy blocked out, maybe if you pick up the fairy spell while in Mido, think about jumping into Palace 6. But jumping into Palace 3 right away seems like a pretty decent idea once you've got the glove and down stab. We'll find out just how open the seed is, or how close they're to finishing it when they get over to the east, to see how the layout of that. Death Mountain could always be something like food blocked, you never know. Death Valley or Great Palace, I meant. Not Death Mountain.
Well, we found Great Palace. Great Palace, the 3 palaces here in the west are 3, 6, and Great.
Can we just pretend this Great Palace on the west is boot blocked, just to, like, protect my honor here? But, anyways, Raikou is gonna pick up, his item in the medicine cave here, so we'll be catching up very short. I think MeleeWizard's gonna find the last cave here, which is the trophy cave, which should be all the items. Alright, time for MeleeWizard to cash in his goodies in the town. We're gonna get... He's gonna cash in the medicine, get a spell, and the downstab.
I was just gonna say, I wonder if he's going to get the, wonder if he's gonna get a spell that'll get him the downstab.
Well, that's usually the plan whenever you go to this town. Always pray.
And the spell he gets is... Jump. He will get his downstab. Meanwhile, Raikou heads over to...
Return. Oh yeah,
Meanwhile, Raikou heads over to east.
Did he not cash in and get his downstab, or did I just miss that? I'm pretty sure
no, he's just coming into the downstab now.
I'm pretty sure he found the medicine as well. But... Well, I meant raikourider, but aren't these the funnest dark caves? You said you wouldn't play the game unless you had a candle, and these are the kind of the caves that I can see why. You jump into one of these lava caves on the east here, and you can't see anything, and it's just like, well, why?
Yeah. Yes, Raikou has his any key, which is an advantage.
It's looking like he's moving over to do a dungeon now, or go cash in this thing at in Mido.
Wait, has he picked up the medicine?
I'm pretty sure the medicine was in, what, Magic Cave? And they both went into that cave.
Okay, we've got MeleeWizard gonna head into 6, it looks like.
Yeah, Melee doesn't have, I guess, the extra keys, and here's the thing, the game would never force you to go into a dungeon unless, like, the logic of the game would never force you to go into a dungeon right now unless you have the fairy spell or the keys. So for him right now, not having, fairy spell, he doesn't need to be in here right now, so he's taking a gamble. He could be looking around, which means he's seen all the spells in the west, so he knows he's not going to get the fairy spell here, but maybe he can find... That key is just diving down, going for the keys, exactly. He doesn't have any keys to get through this dungeon, so he's gonna spend a lot of time trying to find them. I'd say get out of Palace 6 now. Palace 6 is horrible to get key blocked in. There's all the holes and everything, and you fall down and you get trapped. It's not a good place to be.
6 isn't a good place to be even with the any key.
Right, 6 is one of those dungeons you'd rather have fairy for, as long as you can cast it like twice.
Six is just an ugly, ugly dungeon.
Come on, what do you mean you're calling the dungeon ugly just because it's green? What do you have against that?
No, I'm calling it ugly because it has every place of has every kind of terrible thing in it, including the boss. It has.
You're saying Barbara's a terrible? Like, you're a mean person, dude. That's mean stuff to say. But yeah, Palace 6 is kind of a difficult dungeon. It throws all the tests of the game at you, so one mistake and you can find yourself completely lost or in a lot of trouble. Like, simply fighting the boss, you take one bop, you fall in the lava, you're dead.
Yep. And he's key blocked. And MeleeWizard nopes on out of there.
So I guess raikourider's gonna go back to the east now that he's heading back to that raft dock. I didn't see him cash in his thing, unless I missed it. Otherwise, he's gonna have round 2 over on the east. Oh, is this the trophy cave for MeleeWizard? That was the last cave they were missing, I think.
That is a trophy cave.
Well, he's gonna take his 500 P bag, get a level up. Oh, it's not 500 P bag.
It's 100.
Sad.
And
the economy isn't what it used to be.
Oh, what palace is that? That is 2 or 5.
Like 5. He struck at the statue. I didn't see anything come out of it.
Yeah, nothing came out of the statue, so that would be 5. And making his way through Jump Cave.
raikourider skipped that forest tile. I'm not sure if he stepped on it the last time he was around, but if that has something like... I guess it really doesn't matter what they have. They have all the spells they're gonna need from that anyways, but... Should still check to see if it is. You can see it.
I think MeleeWizard is still needing Fairy. MeleeWizard still needs Fairy or an any key.
And Fairy is going to be in either Naburu or Darunia, it looks like. Maybe... I'm not sure. Did they start with the second spell? In Rando?
Yes. They started with the second spell.
Okay, so only Naburu or Darunia, I believe, can have the Fairy spell. Because I believe they have the old
Raikou finds old Kasudo.
But doesn't he have that spell already?
I believe he does.
Poor Raikou. You can't learn any more than that. Silly guy. Silly girl, I guess. So the game right now, because I don't believe MeleeWizard has found the raft. He hasn't found the raft, right?
I'm not sure.
No, he has.
They both have the raft.
Yeah, they both have the raft, actually. I'm just trying to wonder why he's in this dungeon right now. He should be able to finish Palace 3 here. I think this is the second time he's in it. It's just that he doesn't have any keys or thing. But he does have the downstab this time, and Palace 3 is kind of forgiving in not having keys. And that there's a lot of keys you can find in a lot of like the sideways rooms here, so this one's much better than Palace 6 to dive into, even if you don't have keys or fairy.
And MeleeWizard just making his way through. That's a lag room.
Yeah, I like how he made the little hole there for them all to get stuck in. It's a fun room to enter from this side, going the other way. You might as well check for a key to replenish them before he resets back. That's what happens when you don't take the first ray at the entrance of the dungeon. You try and go with these left strats, going left first. Blame Trail Z.
Well, he did find his key, but that just put him back where he started.
His walk back of, I guess it's not really a walk back of shame, but I guess it's more of just kind of a hobble back over through this horde of enemies again, just, you know, a reunion. He's like, hey, I remember me?
A walk back of mild annoyance. Well, sometimes you do want to go left. You want to start going left because a lot of the item rooms are go left.
In specific dungeons, but in Palace 3, it's really
in Palace
there's no
3
advantage
it's a go right.
Yeah, you're always going to want to go right in Palace 3, 4, 6, because everything is going to be over to the right. But, you know, every once in a while, you just want to say, screw it to the meta, maybe going left will get me, like, so that a little bit ahead just on luck there. But it didn't work out for him today. But he should still be able to clear the dungeon. He picked up another key, so that should allow him enough access to get through. And you pick up the... Oh! He only has one key. Oh no, he has 4 keys. Did he not grab that item? He chose not to get the item? He had 4 keys. I'm pretty sure. I guess he wasn't
Meanwhile,
interested
Raikou finds 3-Eye Rock. Wait, it's a 500-point bag. We know it's a 500-point bag.
Yeah, that's the thing. Forgetting the hints that come into play. It's good for runners then to remember that, yeah, because the 500-point bag, yeah, probably wouldn't have gotten him this level anyways. Maybe.
So why would I go for a 500 point bag if I know what, or why would
You forget that there's a 500 point P bag in here, like me.
So yes, to answer why would you not go for that if you remember the hint?
Raikourider is having some problems with this cave. As long as he can get through, he shouldn't... Well, he's got to go through these forced encounters. He doesn't want to try and do the skips and get more of those Death Valley caves, so it's probably safer just to try and get through this screen as is. But he doesn't have the down stab, so that's slowing him against these lizard foes, forcing him to kind of fight them or take damage.
And we've got Rebo.
Did he cast jump to fight Rebo?
Looks like he did.
This is gonna be amazing. I can't wait to see this. Look at all that jump pogo hopping he's doing right there. I don't know, it looked like jump kind of messed him up a little bit more than it helped him, but Rebo goes down, he gets the he's gonna get the double level out of this, which is nice. And that desert path Raikourider goes through leads him to a big fat dead end. Not good.
It's, that's not something you want to see. And gem number 1 for Raikourider. Or, I'm sorry, for MeleeWizard.
You could see on Raikourider's screen right now, he's kind of got like a bit of a poor capture here. He's got like this little donation thing at the bottom for $200 to get him a new capture card, so we can have crisper graphics. Like, look at this MeleeWizard. His graphics are much crispier than Raikourider's. For only $200, he can get there. Support our runners.
If you have been enjoying this race, give these guys a follow. They deserve it.
Too.
And I gotta say, I love that little pogo Dyra kill there.
So I think at this point of the board, that's the only dungeon. Melee is the only one who's been able to clear dungeons so far. It's the first dungeon down of our seed, Palace 3. We'll see if he's brave enough to just jump into 5.
He does not jump right into 5.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, attack 4 or attack 3, you don't really want to go to 5 unless the game's forcing you to go in there, or until you have, like, at least attack 5 or higher. Because it could always be that day where Gooma's like, I'm feeling great, nothing's gonna hurt me today. But I believe this is MeleeWizard's first time over to the east. He spent a good deal of time, almost 40 minutes, on the western side. Got nearly everything. The only thing I believe he missed that we saw was the key. It was a big item.
I do not like those Death Mountain caves, or those Death Valley of Death caves. I don't much like most of the Death Mountain caves either, but that's a different story.
The only thing you can do in those dark caves when you don't have Fairy Spell is to cast another spell like the Spell or whatever, just to light up the cave and try and see what's ahead of you for a brief second before you make like the jump across one of the pits, just so you don't jump into a MOA. Otherwise, raikourider does have enough spell containers to get the item from the lady. It must have at least been 6 or less. He won't pick up a town spell in New Kasuto, but does he have the spell to pick up the last item? No, he does not. There's nothing else raikourider can really do here other than just replenishing and leave. Wait. I thought Waiku...
We may be boot required.
I guess you missed it. You see, these are things I miss all the time too. That hint location for that house in New Kasuto, I didn't even know that the location was there. I always run to the end of the wall, press talk, then I don't get anything. And it's just like, I thought there was a hint in this house. Well, good thing MeleeWizard there showing us it's in the middle of the room, the hint. Well, we don't know if it's boot required yet. They have a fair amount of caves they can still jump through here and check, which should give them access to the other side of the continent. However, the cave that I believe MeleeWizard just dove into was not the correct one.
Well, raikourider just went through the same one.
Actually, we have Three-Eyed Rock down here. They're still in the same part that they were before, but they must have missed this rock. We'll get a dungeon. Oh, Palace 4. Go right on in. It is a good day to find Palace 4.
I would agree with that.
Now, Raikou has seen those rocks twice. I don't think he bothered to check to see what the dungeon is. Maybe he forgot that he started with the flute. Because MeleeWizard has been starting to put dungeons on the board. He's got Dungeon 3 on the board. He's going to be putting Dungeon 4 on the board soon enough. Raikourider's got to be careful here.
Well, Palace 4 could eat those keys up.
Palace 4 right now is showing what happens when you don't have the fairy spell to bail yourself out in a room like this where you have one of these iron golems guarding the staircase like a jerk. Just another typical day. Does Melee have enough MP to cast the Thunder spell? Right now, he's sitting at, let's see, 96 MP. He could use that to kill the blue guy if he can cast Thunder.
Well, I mean, he tried the go left meta. It didn't work.
Okay, so he can cast Thunder, meaning he could have just zapped that guy off the screen, but you get greedy because you don't want to use your MP. You think you're so good you can fight everything with your sword. And then you just end up right back at the start of the dungeon. Raiku's gonna go into the lava room here. We don't get to see these too often in the randomizer because he needs the extra keys. He's hoping for a key here. Will he get a key? He does not get a key. Holy moly, raikourider, it's got 4 blue guys on his screen, 5 dudes all together, just tossing everything at him.
It's a lag screen.
you know, just having the annual Hyrule football game or something out, except Link's the only one with the ball and everyone's after him. I guess.
And it's another liquid hot magma room.
Okay, so Raikou actually found the other side of Death Mountain here, but I don't. Yeah, it doesn't.
Well,
give him
did
access
he
to
also
Spectacle
did
Rock.
he get did he get the hint about? Did he get the hint about the any key? Oh wait, he's got the any key.
Yeah, he's got the
Raikourider's got the any key.
He came back to Death Mountain. I guess he just saw the other hole, figured Spectacle Rock might be around the other hole or something, so I might as well peek it. And he's doing his one cave dive in to see if he can get over to that. I probably wouldn't be doing that unless you had the boots to go across like the ocean side or whatever, and just kind of avoid Death Mountain for now. You don't really have any real reason to want to be in here. Got stuff to start beating dungeons, you might as well focus on using that stuff to keep beating dungeons.
Does raikourider have downstab?
No. I think he either forgot that he had picked up the medicine, or maybe he never really... I'm pretty sure we all saw him pick up the medicine. Maybe he just forgot he picked it up, or something.
And MeleeWizard finds Karok.
Karok won't be too menacing right here. He's just hanging out by the pillar there. Never go for the pillar's pivot straps. They don't work. I swear. It's all a rumor. Despite Raikourider not having the Master Key or the Fairy Spell, he's able to get through Palace 4. I guess those extra 4 keys do help and come in handy for getting the dungeon done, which will take a big relief off his shoulder here.
And he does not go back for the item. We will see later on if that it's a good decision or not.
I think it's probably a pretty good decision. Like, usually I would only take the item if I run into the room on my way over to it, if I have most of everything I need to beat the game. He probably does have everything he requires to beat the game. As long as he just goes and clears the dungeons, he should be fine.
Well, except for downstab.
Well, I was talking about MeleeWizard for a second. Sorry, if you were talking about raikourider there.
Oops. Sorry, backwards.
But, yeah, raikourider's doing this doubling down. Like, he realizes, I guess he spent some time looking for this Spectacle Rock, and now he's continuously doubling down, jumping through caves here, just hoping that it'll just turn up eventually at the other side of one of these. But we've seen people spend, like, 40 minutes just diving caves, getting lost back and forth here. And as you can see, he's just kind of doing the random cave shuffle, hoping for the best. Maze Island is a good place to be, though. MeleeWizard already finding one of the drop locations. He'll find another one of the dungeons, which could be Palace 1 or 2 at this point, I think. Or, well, I think it has to be.
Yeah, it does. Because we've seen 3, 4, 5, and 6.
he might not even look for the other item on Maze Island for too long. He might just go in the dungeon, try and walk a few paths, and find his way out. Probably what I would do.
And it is Palace 2.
Okay, well, he's been taking lefts today in the go right dungeons. Like, he went left his very first decision in Palace 4, and left in his very first decision in Palace 3. We'll see if he goes right as his very first decision in Palace 2, you know? Or if he's just gonna keep going left or whatever. Let's see what the plan is. Raiku's like landing in every cave around that boulder except the cave that takes him to the boulder.
Which I'm sure is frustrating him to no end.
Well, like, he can choose to end this torture whenever he wants, but, like, you know, he's in for the pain here. MeleeWizard wants to go left, but he is maybe he's sadly out of keys by now, so now he has to go right. That door there could be a problem. I'm not sure how many other options he has left in this dungeon. There are a fair amount of small item locations for him to try and get keys in Palace 2. He just needs access to those rooms.
And... he is heading for one of them.
The only cave Raikou hasn't checked here is that bottom left elevator cave. That's the one room he decides not to walk into. Maybe he's confused and lost now himself, but this is the point where you're starting to... Like, he's been in here for at least 10 minutes by now, or close to that, like, I think. Like, this is when you've got to start... You got to make a call whether it's... You really need this item. Like, if this item is not, like, the item that's going to save you in Death Mountain, it's going to be a huge loss if he continues here. Meanwhile, MeleeWizard will be looking for a key. It's not an item room he's in. It's not Palace 3 or 4. So there should be a key in this room if he's lucky. And there is!
And getting some of those blocks dropped on him at some point there in the block room is Melee.
If you're watching those blocks as you're walking through the room, you can keep walking left while you jump up and strike one of them before they falls down on your head. It's pretty fun to do. But otherwise, you know, classic letting a block fall on your head. You're not in an all-keys speed run here, so who cares? Just take a few seconds for the comedy relief. Okay, MeleeWizard, he has his jump spell, so he can get through this room here. If raikourider goes into this room that Melee is in when he eventually gets over to Palace 2, well, when he gets into Palace 2 himself, he's not going to have the jumps. Actually, jump is on.
Right.
Yeah.
Raikourider
is on the
finds
Mido slot, so he hasn't been back to Mido. So he's gonna so he won't be able to go through this dungeon left there. Not that it matters. Melee's just there for the key.
Raikourider finds his finds the wet spectacle rock, and all it has is a pea bag.
You see, this is what I'm saying. He just spent like over 10 minutes looking in Death Mountain, really dedicating himself, like, this is the location I need to be. Well, he's got 500 experience out of that, which meant nothing. MeleeWizard deciding he's gonna go left here after all. Finds another magic container for his troubles. Much better than finding a pea bag at this point in the game.
Yes.
Raikou picking up both his Maze Island items here. Or, like, actually, that wasn't Maze Island. I thought it was for a second when he fell in the cave. It looked like that. He's still gotta find Maze Island, I think.
Yes, I believe he still does. I'm surprised he hasn't taken the medicine back over to the seaside town of Mido and turned that in. Gotten his jump spell, gotten his down stab.
The only thing I can say is maybe he completely forgot he doesn't have the medicine. It's one of the big problems in Zelda 2, the 3 items, the child, the medicine, and what was the other one again? Child, medicine, and the
trophy.
Yeah, the trophy, that thing. They don't show up as a display on your item list or anything like that, so it's easy to forget that you've picked them up. And because they don't display as an item list, you forget what they're called as well. Like, I can't even remember the third one's a trophy.
And MeleeWizard in... That's not a boss room, that's a dead-end room.
Well, Melee's seen almost all of Palace 2. I'm starting to wonder, I'm not sure if he took the down right at the start of the dungeon, or if he went up and continued up from there on in the dungeon. So he may have to go back closer to the start to find his way back to the boss, unless we missed a route. We'll find out.
Meanwhile, raikourider finds the bridge to Maze Island. And finds the first cave.
We haven't seen what the second cave is yet, but first cave does pick up a 500 point P bag, gets him closer to his level. As long as he doesn't die, he should be fine. Now, we'll see if Raikou just jumps right into Palace 2, or if he goes looking for the other cave a bit longer. Yeah, he's gonna dive right in. So like I said, the boss looked like it was closer to the start of the Dungeon of Palace 2. If raikourider just goes the correct direction at the start, he might be able to clear this dungeon before Melee. Though I believe they have to go down from this elevator here, so we'll see if Raikou goes up or down.
And jackhammering that sign head.
Oh no, he goes up! What? We'll see where MeleeWizard go. MeleeWizard probably got a better handle of the dungeon here. Yeah, going down, like I said, going down is the way to Helmet Head, which means raikourider is gonna probably be exploring the full palace too. Oh, that was a very close jump from MeleeWizard, just barely dodging one of those chewy hammers right there. But that puts him through the room here.
And our dropper enemy is 20.
Yeah, the 20 experience Stalfos, yeah. Just looked at the boss here, and all of a sudden I see Helmet Head with one hit on him. I'm not sure if he started with the one hit or not, but he went down very fast. It's the second dungeon for MeleeWizard on the board. I mean, the third dungeon for him. He's got Palace 3, 4, and 2, which leaves only 2 dungeons left for him to complete. The Death Valley dungeon will be Palace 1, probably going to be on his target location next. And probably finding one of the towns to get this fairy spell if he's lucky enough.
Well, he would need the child to get the spell out of
Darunia, but Nabooru might have the fairy spell. MeleeWizard right now is checking the other path on Maze Island, so maybe he's going to look for the last item here before he checks the town. Now he's going to find all the encounter screens. Let's see if he finds all 7 encounters. Oh, he finds the item after only 3 encounters. Not too bad. Double P-bags on Maze Island. Yeah. Time to get out of here. Oh! Finds another. He's onto the 4th encounter screen.
Well, you know what? I don't mind hitting an encounter screen or 2 on the way out the door. On the way out.
You're done. He's done. He's cleared. He never has to come back to Maze Island again. He knows that he's gotten all the items here in the dungeon and on the overworld, so he's out of this location for good. Now, as you can see, like, this eastern continent looks like it's split into more than just 2 parts. Like, the section they're in right now only had Maze Island and just 2 caves here. This is an item. I think this is the sunken item cave. We're about to find out in a second.
It's the pass-through. It's the pass-through. That's how they got over to that part of the... No, it is the item.
The lower cave to get through here. Yeah, that's why I said there's 2 caves on this side. Yeah, there's the boots. The boots are going to be a really big item to find in the sea, because we've seen a lot of water-blocked areas. So I'm pretty sure with the boots, it's going to give him full access to everything else now, which is going to put him closer, well, probably does put him into full mode. He'll be able to find the last 2 towns with that. except the game is just like, we just don't want you to go right back through one of the caves before you're allowed to use the boots. It's not the best location over here to use it.
I wonder where that river devil is.
Let's see if he's showing somewhere around this path.
Now, is Rate My River Devil still a thing?
Sure, why not? Like, this river devil, he's just chilling right here on the side of the road, guarding! Look at that, you've either got to go through the river devil, or you've got to go through an encounter. But I guess thankfully the game starts you with a flute. Not too bad of a river devil right there. And gives him access to the 8th magic container. Melee is just juicing on the containers now.
MeleeWizard, just say no to steroids.
Okay, so we got an item cave here.
We found a Valley of Death.
Yeah, we've got Valley of Death, a town, and this item cave. So we got a lot of things to see here. Raikourider's gonna run into this fun Chewy as well. MeleeWizard had to make a very precise, stupid jump to get by this guy.
And the item in the cave is a 500-point bag. One thing we have
so raikourider sees that Chewy guarding the upper right path and opts to leave Palace too, but Helmet Head was in the bottom right path, so he's kind of psyching himself out here by leaving. Meanwhile, MeleeWizard will be walking over to this dungeon here. It was me, and maybe he didn't see the town, but I probably would have went to that town first before trying to go through here. But we do know it's Palace 1, so we can complete that.
Yeah,
the reason you probably want to go to the town first is you might get the fairy spell in that town to help you in a Death Valley here. Otherwise, you're trying to get these encounter skips.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we know it's Palace 1, so that suggests to me. Also, you could get your
spell?
Upstab.
Oh, that works too.
It's not downstab, but it's still useful. Palace 1 we have found.
Well, MeleeWizard's at 1900 experience here. Even at 1900, he needs what? 900 more to get that next level. He's probably not going to make it in Palace 1. There's not a lot of the dungeon. Like, Palace 1 doesn't usually have enough rooms to have a lot of enemies here to give you that experience. But he might get a double level out of this dungeon. Meanwhile, Raikou finally finds the other P-Bag Maze Island cave for his troubles.
If he finds more blue iron knuckles, he might.
Or if he gets a P-Bag in this Palace 1 item room here. It's gonna be... But he probably wants the child. Most of all, it's the only item that's gonna... And it is the child. So now, this is going to give him... this is full go mode for him, because he's gonna be guaranteed the fairy spell at Naburu or Darunia now. So, go fast, Melee.
Yes, MeleeWizard now in full dig shake. So I'm sure these guys play a lot of other things too. not just
You can
Zelda
see MeleeWizard and raikourider around in other games. Like, there's a lot of NES randomizers. Like, I've been considering trying to play like the Crystalist randomizer because I enjoyed that game, but maybe they play Dragon Warrior or other things. There's a lot of NES randomizers out there. So little time, I guess, to play them all.
Wait, there's a Crystalist randomizer?
Pretty sure there is. Let me just wiki this to make sure. Yeah. Released February 26, 2019, version 1.00.
Nice. And pretty easy horse head fight.
The horse head fight, I guess that's how easy it was, because I just switched over to, yeah, check for the Crystalist Rando there. Oh, so he didn't get his double level, but, one level is nice here, and he does see both towns, so he will get the spells from both of those towns if he chooses to, or just the fairy spell.
And then there's also a lot of Super NES randomizers.
The only Super NES randomizers that I've really kind of seen is just the one A Link to the Past and Metroid.
There's also Link, Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI.
All right, they have them for every Final Fantasy. Like, do we even count Final Fantasy at this point?
There's Super Mario World, Super Mario RPG.
It's just, you go to sleep for 1 year, you wake up, and there's a randomizer for everything out. I've been playing some randomizers on my 3DS actually. Next to I've been playing the Zelda 2 randomizer on the 3DS, but I just downloaded a few things to do that. But I've been playing the Area of Sorrow, Castlevania, and all like the Castlevania ones for the portables on my 3DS. It's been pretty cool having to get that to play all my games with the randomized functions. Nice for the road trips.
Well, these randomizers are very enjoyable. I find them very enjoyable to watch.
It's kind of like a fun, almost like semi-casual way to get into a game, because you get like a bunch of things pretty early. You don't have to go through like the full or specifics method, the story or gameplay stuff. Like the game is just wide open, just given right to you, and you can just kind of jump in and have fun and just try and find whatever. Sometimes the games are really nice, sometimes they're really mean.
Sometimes you get, sometimes in Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Randomizer, you get 2 edges.
Sometimes you get an unbeatable seed after 4 hours of playing. Yeah, it happens.
Sometimes you get 2 edges and a Paladin Cecil. Sometimes you get 4 Edwards.
Oh. Oh wait, you can get 4 of the what is this? 4 Edwards? You get 4 of the same character?
Yes, you can get multiple of the same character in the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Randomizer.
Oh man, that's so. Just have like the single character that spams his one move 4 times. Melee is ducking into Darunia here.
He's gonna turn in the child, pick up his pick up the spell. He's also gonna go and get his upstab.
Still don't know whether raikourider has gone back to Mido. I don't think he did. he still hasn't picked up the down stab if he hasn't gone back to Mido yet.
Nope, still no down stab.
So I'm pretty sure he does. Yeah, it's just he doesn't know he has the medicine, which is pretty bad if you pick up the very beginning of the seed and you check all the item locations and then you just randomly go and talk to the lady to find out where the medicine is later, only to find out that you had it. That happens a lot. I'm pretty sure after MeleeWizard gets his fairy spell, he's just gonna warp back and complete Palace 6. We'll see if this is the one. It is.
It is fairy.
Because there's only two choices right now. We're walking over to Palace 5, somewhere on the west. You have to go through a cave or something to get there from where he's at. Or warp back to start and go jump into Palace 6 right next to the start. Maybe he wants the spell.
Well, it is very useful.
There are 3 rooms in the game that I typically find the spell, but at this point in time, I think it's probably more useful to up A and just head back to the closest location that you can clear. Otherwise, he's going to be backtracking and going through a lot of these encounters to get over to Palace 5.
I think I would choose to do Palace 5 over Palace 6.
Palace 6 is shorter than Palace 5. Palace 5 is the second biggest dungeon in the game next to GP. And at lower attack levels, usually you can have a better chance at knocking Barba down faster than Guma, but we will see what MeleeWizard decides to do.
And MeleeWizard gets his fairy spell. That puts him in full dig shake.
Well, I'm pretty sure he got the fairy spell from Darunia. Maybe he just picked up the spell here.
Oh, yeah, spell. Sorry.
Yeah.
Backwards. Our restreamer, Schmitty, in chat says the only reason he'd ever go into Palace 6 is if he's got 6 gems. I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, Palace 6 has kind of, you know, it's left a bad mark or a bad impression on some people, so I understand why some people are kind of hostile against going in there, but, you know, Barba is a very warm-looking dragon there. Keep you warm for the winter.
And finds a little digger on that desert tile.
Just checking the corner there for good measure, you know. Second try going through. Raikourider finds his way over to the Death Valley. He's going to pick up his fairy spell very shortly when he finishes Palace 1, assuming he can get over there. But this is what I was saying. Go those towns first. You know Fairy's gonna be in one of them, or most likely.
Schmitty makes a good point. It's not so much the palace, it's not so much that it's the size, it's the recursive loops.
The loops kind of make Palace 6 nice and to navigate in a certain extent, because they don't, like, Palace 6 doesn't have any real long dead ends that have you go all the way through one path. It has like a bunch of loops which can confuse and disorient you, but all the rooms are like usually connected close together in Palace 6 to some degree.
Well, speaking of Palace 6, MeleeWizard is in Palace 6.
Yep, it was closest, I guess, for him after his up A. Like, his only other choice was just to walk all the way back over to the east and do Palace 5, which would have been a huge time waste. Oh, we get a Palace 6!
And we get a Rebo.
Rebos are good to run into in Palace 6 because a Rebo will always indicate that after Rebo, like, you cannot enter a Rebo room going from right to left. So that means that a Rebo will always be either guarding an item room in Palace 6, or guarding the boss room, or guarding a drop room. One of the 3 rooms that one of the Rebos will be leading to. Turns out, he gets the lucky boss Rebo. That's good, that's pretty good. This means he's going to be diving into GP very shortly after he finishes this. See, that is a somewhat risky, dangerous spot that MeleeWizard is standing. He's camping the middle platform from the left side there, which doesn't give him a whole lot of room to escape or dodge or even get over to the right side. Really, I like to camp the middle one from the middle space, but we'll see. Oh, takes his first bath. 1-0 for Barba.
And MeleeWizard just slowly making his way through that Barba fight.
Barba is one of those bosses you should practice, and it's at a low level, whether you try to force yourself to get over there in a vanilla run or you run some kind of boss rush seat that like Q-Lane has or something. But you should be able to get about 8 to 9 hits every single time on Barba, every single time Barba comes up. Otherwise, fighting him taking only 1 or 2 hits, especially if Barba has a lot of hit, this could be a really long battle. You could save minutes off this with some practice, but fighting Barba safe is always better than sorry. Even the
Definitely
jackhammer
agreed
technique.
there.
Do you ever practice the jackhammer technique on Barba, Stu?
No. Way too risky.
I've been doing this in the randomizer lately, where anytime I get to Barba with more than 1 life, I try the jackhammer for like the very first rise out of the lava, and you can get like about 12 to 15 hits on him really easily there. You just gotta be careful that you don't dig through his health too fast on the randomizer.
Right, because then you fall into the liquid hot.
It's really not that hard of a thing to do, just most people have never really practiced or really attempted doing it, so it's kind of scary trying to figure out how to do it, because you might just fall in your lava the first time. But it's a good way to really quickly push your time on the fight ahead. Now, in vanilla, it doesn't, like, at attack 8 in vanilla all keys runs, you can still kill Barba in 1 cycle without having to do a jackhammer. But when you're at it, like, attack 2, 3, 4, whatever, it's going to take you normally, like, 4 cycles anyways. Doing the jackhammer could save you 1 or 2 cycles on him.
I'm going to definitely agree with Trails in chat. That was a nice kill on Barba.
It was worth it. Because now he's going to be moving on to Great Palace in a moment here. After he gets his level, he wants that level. He's juicing up. If he remembers where that Dyra cave is at the start, that's a quick location for experience. Oh, now he finds, that's where, Begu was.
He wants that level, but not badly enough to fight Gorias for it.
Now, if I'm in MeleeWizard's position right now, I'm always panicking on any seed after about the hour and 10, hour and 15 mark. I wouldn't even be grinding out this level. I'd be like, I'm so behind, I've got to finish the race. But, I guess, his average seed time, or players are around like an hour and a half, so he's probably feeling good right now. And he is doing really good right now. Moving into the Great Palace, we get a purple Great Palace. Crimson red windows, the purple background, very ominous, so gotta watch out, you don't want to free that guy.
The chicken and waffles room. I'll agree with you, Trails. Melee is in great shape.
But at some point, raikourider did finish Palace 1 in his first dungeon on the map there. Or on the list.
Well, once again, the horsehead fight, it's so quick you'll miss it. Now, are these Thunderbird required seeds, or are these Thunderbird not necessarily required seeds?
Oh, they're probably gonna kill Thunderbird anyways. Required? Probably not. Like, Thunderbird is only gonna be guarding usually like one path or one route. After Thunderbird, there can only ever be a dead end or a drop. It's because you cannot enter the Thunderbird room from the left. So there's only, there's not too many possible, rooms after a Thunderbird room, which means that there still is probably going to be a lot of other routes that you can take through the dungeon, making the Thunderbird less likely.
Well, there's a drop, a dead end, or a dark link.
Right. Yeah, it's got the three choices again. We got the double spicy chicken in this room. I think it's 2 spicy chickens. We're gonna find out. We've got one at least, for sure.
Yep, another chicken and waffles room.
So Rose City Saint has like a nifty little technique for defeating these bird knights you see on like the 3rd step there, where he just breaks the 2nd and 3rd blocks, then he just casually walks over without falling down and just is that foot level to kill the bird, as long as he stands on the 1st block as he walks over, doesn't get rid of the bottom blocks.
Well,
but here's the thing. Because this is not like a standard seed where Thunderbird must be required, even if you do a skip, let's say you do the L7 skip in there, and you skip past the Thunderbird, let's say it goes Thunderbird drop or something, then Dark Link somehow like that. if you skip the Thunderbird fight and land up right at Darklink when you're supposed to fight Thunderbird, I believe that's still fine and all, just because this isn't like a Thunderbird required seed. Like you can, I believe you can skip Thunderbird in the any percent max Rando seeds by utilizing like the L7 glitches, I mean warps. But then again, I'm not too sure about the rules. Maybe I'll get myself disqualified if I did that in a race. Who knows? Always gotta watch out for the spawning chicken there in that waffle room. You'll never wanna spawn that guy without making a backup escape plan for yourself, and that's why. It kills you and you go right back to the beginning of the dungeon if you don't. Rider, staring down at the candle. He's like, nope! Maybe if I recast spell and leave and come back in, it'll change the item into something different, you know? It can be hopeful sometimes. Well, well, I'm hoping Melee finishes this pretty soon because it is 9:30 right now. For anyone who's not aware, there are 5 Zelda 2 Max Rando races that are scheduled for today and been going on. Well, the next race has started at, I guess that began at 9:30 with Rose City Saint and Jay Coper. So the sooner MeleeWizard finishes up here, the sooner I'll hurry over to that seat in that game to see what they're doing over there. They might need some help. But we get a Thunderbird. He might not be required, but who cares? Fight him anyways. Take down that bird. Roast him. Nice takedown of the bird. Pretty smooth here, and keeps his lives. Gotta get out of that hole. This room, look at this. You've got the rainbow colored 3 chickens in here. Like the yellow, the red, the blue one, and then you've got all of these like flip-flopping horses flying around the screen. Like, not the funnest place to be. Though this is a nice screen to find. Well, somewhat nice screen. You can refill your magic here if you're careful, but otherwise, he does have the fairy spell. He will be able to get through this room. It's a good thing he went back for that fairy spell. Only to find out that Thunderbird was not required today.
So he ferries back across. Now, I think if he had found the any key, that would be very, very useful.
Alright. I believe this is raikourider's second time in this town, so maybe he found the child at some point and is catching the child in now for the fairy spell. I hope.
Although I don't believe Grand Palace has any locked doors.
Grand Palace has the biggest locked door of them all. Have you never seen the entrance of the dungeon with the big freaking barrier? Well, I guess not really
there is
a
that
locked door, but like it's a locked barrier, I guess. Yeah, there he goes. He resets back when he realizes, why am I going all the way back through these rooms? Yeah, so Raikou finally picks up the fairy spell, which will give Raikou, he needs to finish the game. We know Thunderbird is not required, so Thunder is not a requirement. Trails, there's many lefts. Go walk into one sooner or later. Hold your horses.
And the Long Bridge of Destiny. And that's one of the early rooms of Vanilla Grand Palace. And that was the Thunderbird room he just found.
So here's the left.
Wait, was that a paradox? Was that a paradox room?
It's a paradox. What do you mean by paradox room? Like a loop? Fake? What? Yeah, the room
like
is
the room dropped into itself?
Yeah. That happens with the fairy room a lot. There has to be a loop somewhere in the dungeon. Sometimes when the seat's not configured properly, they just throw it into like a single room, like the Palace 6 room that, with the elevator room that just goes up and down endlessly.
I'm with the old man there. Who picked these flags?
Well, MeleeWizard did the only sane, reasonable thing and not immediately jumping into that Enchantress drop, only to find Dark Link at the end of the room there, so this will be the end of the seed for Melee as long as Dark Link doesn't decide to have a jump down party on him, you know? Equip his spike shoes from Mario.
And that'll do it.
With a
MeleeWizard
place time of 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 43 seconds for MeleeWizard. Congratulations to him. Which will be putting him up to 2-1 now in the tournament rounds, moving into the 4th round. Not too bad.
And it looks like we may have raikourider and MeleeWizard coming in for an interview.
Yeah, I think raikourider realized he's pretty far behind here, so good choice.
And welcome, raikourider.
Hey, yeah, I was about ready to quit probably 4 or 5 times when I realized that the way to get downstab was either 1, blocked by that mess of caves on the eastern continent, 2, blocked by that terrible blue Dark Knot combat in 5, or it was blocked by a Rebanek, none of which I'm really comfortable doing without downstab.
You had the medicine. And the medicine led to the jump spell in Mido, which led to
I think it was one of the first items you found in like Magic Cave or something. We were wondering if you forgot that you picked up the medicine or not, because we were trying to wonder why you didn't go back to Mido to cash it in.
I'm too sleepy for this.
Yeah, that happens a lot with these seeds, especially when the game doesn't keep track of items like the trophy, the medicine, and the child.
And welcome, MeleeWizard. GG to you.
Yeah, GG.
MeleeWizard actually remembered that he found the medicine here, so cashing that in Mido helped him get the downstab and move through the seed. But one of the interesting differences in this seed was that raikourider went through Death Mountain and found the Master Key pretty early into the race, while MeleeWizard never ended up finding the Master Key, and Fairy was the very last spell he found when he already beat all the dungeons of the game.
Second to last, but yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I was pretty...
I don't think you needed Fairy for Palace 6, so maybe it wasn't really required, but yeah, I guess for all intents and purposes, you left Fairy until the end there and was beating all the seeds without the proper logic to go into the dungeons.
It helped that I got a lot of key drops from enemies.
Yeah, I think at one point you had 4 keys, and that really helped you get through Palace 4 there, because not having keys going into Palace 4, well, that's a lot of lava rooms.
It helped that I got I saw the hint that said the magic key was in Death Mountain. Is like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to dig through there, aren't I?
Oh, it was not easy to find either.
Yeah.
The magic key was in the Hammer Cave in Death Mountain. I believe raikourider got lucky. The very first cave he took in Death Mountain took him to like a spot where the Hammer Cave was just out in the open, and he just grabbed like the Master Key really early into the race. But raikourider returned, I believe, later into Death Mountain looking for Spectacle Rock, and I believe spent a fair deal of time in there, at least 10 or so minutes, jumping through every single cave to find that rock.
So the reason why I dug Death Mountain is because I thought that the way to downstab could possibly be boots locked. And I thought that there might be boots locked in East because just the Eastern continent in general was a nightmare.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't the friendliest place to navigate.
Like when I saw you had to go through probably 2 or 3 just awful transport caves. I was about ready to quit. When I saw the combat block in 5, I was about ready to quit. There were probably about 5 or 6 times I just wanted to quit.
Yeah, at the end, it came down to 5 and 6 because I had already done 1 through 4. It's like, do I want to do 5? Do I want to do 6? Neither option seems very friendly, and eventually I just came to the thought of, you know what? They're both on the west. They're both kind of close together. I'll go 6.
Yeah, Stuart and I were in the chat. We're discussing that whether you would do Palace 5 or 6. Let's say they were both right next to each other, and you had to make a choice. I was saying that personally, I would have rather done 6. I think it's a bit of a shorter dungeon, and the rooms all tend to be a bit closer if you go a wrong direction. Whereas in Palace 5, it has the most rooms, well, the second most rooms of any dungeon next to the Great Palace, and they tend to have like long linear one ways for the pass, so you can get really unlucky in that.
Yeah, you can get lost in that place real easy, like in GP and the pointless thunder. Yay!
Thunder not required for a raikourider if he was curious.
Thanks. I actually speculated when I had full cleared the Western continent. I had actually speculated that Thunder was in Saria and it was fairy locked. Either fairy locked or you had to take a cave to get to it. Beyond getting out of the original area, like both continents were just a nightmare to navigate.
Raikou, you didn't find the other side of Saria, or you didn't go to cash in the spell. I think you were missing the Saria spell for a bit, or you never picked it up?
I never found it.
Yeah, Thunder was at Saria.
So. That's what I'd speculated.
I believe the very first forest tile to like the northeast of start location was the Begu. MeleeWizard walked onto it on his way over to what was it, the Great Palace.
Yeah, I had a bit of chuckle when I found that because I was kind of looking for it early to see if
you were both looking for that, but you jumped in every forest except for that one.
Of course.
But yeah, pro tip: don't play Z2R when you're sleepy. It doesn't work out.
That can apply to a lot of games, honestly.
This in particular.
And I believe coming up next, we've got Trails and Amazing Toaster.
Oh, that'll be an amazing match. Those two are way better than I am, I'll tell you that.
And even ongoing right now, we have Jake Hoper versus Rose City Saint. Like, we've had, today is just stacked with a bunch of games. Maybe I don't want to keep you here too long so you guys can go and head over and watch those games yourselves. But MeleeWizard, I see that you're at 2-1 now. It's nice to take that second win there. It staves you off and might keep you in the tournament here up until past the Swiss round. But raikourider taking that second loss, you're going to be facing an elimination round next week. How are you feeling about this? Are you ready to handle whoever's coming at you?
No, I'm just sleepy. Sorry.
So just to confirm, it's 3-2 advancing past Swiss?
Well, I believe they have to cut the amount of people down from 16. Like, we have, 16 people in the tournament now, and they have to cut it down to 8 people. So the 8 players who have the highest score at the end of that.
I believe we have 20.
Really? Maybe I'm missing players here. But yeah, the more players, then slightly better, because it'll give you a bit more chances, even if you have... you don't want to take any more losses than 2. You still might be able to qualify, I believe, for the next round, as long as you don't take any more losses than 2.
I wasn't even expecting to get 2 wins in Swiss, so I think I'm fine for now.
I think almost everybody's come away with the win now. Some points here, but anyways, yeah. Congratulations on your Wizard, on your win tonight, MeleeWizard. We'll be seeing you again next week, and we'll sing with raikourider, and we'll see what happens.
Best of luck to you guys the rest of the tournament.
Have a good one.
Yep, GG. Good luck to all of y'all.
Yep.
Do we know what Randomizer are hosting each game? Let me go check that.
I believe on this RM2 we are going to have Trails versus Amazing Toaster.
Yeah, and Jake Cooper and Rose City Saints on RM3.
All right, so either stay tuned here for Trails Z and Toaster, or head on over to Randomania 3 for Rose City Saint and Jake Cooper.